Hello, everybody. This is Rocket Rick J18, and today I want to talk to you about my selections for the Classic Eras Hall of Fame uh, elections to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And the candidates are uh, let's say, in the order that I've put them in, at least. Uh, are Dick Allen, uh, Dave Parker, John Donaldson, Tommy John, Ken Boyer, Luis Tiant, and Vic Harris. If you're not familiar with John Donaldson or Vic Harris, they are uh, Negro League players and a manager in the case of Vic Harris, and they played or managed uh, over 100 years ago, or close to 100 years ago in the case of Vic Harris. Um, so let's just go through here, and I'm going to show a few cards. I'm going to go in sort of reverse order. The first candidate is Steve Garvey, and I don't have a card with me to show you. I do have his rookie card and several, really all of his other mainline tops cards. Steve Garvey was, of course, most famously known as the first baseman of the Los Angeles Dodgers during the decade of the 70s. He later also was the first baseman for the San Diego Padres, and his uniform number is retired in both for both teams. He is not was not elected by the baseball writers. None of these players were elected by the baseball writers during their first years of eligibility. Some of them have been uh, before the old Veterans Committee, um, and have not yet made it. There are 16 members of this Classic Eras committee. They have not yet been announced as to who they are. Uh, that will happen shortly. And my understanding is that they will vote in order to be elected. A player must be elected by at least 75% of the voters. There are 12 voters, 8 nominees, so each voter gets a to gets 3 picks. As my understanding, they don't have to pick 3, but they cannot pick any more than 3. So the first one we've talked about, Steve Garvey. He's known to everybody. I personally think that he's comes up a little bit short. He had a 38 WAR, um, and so I'll move on to the next candidate and say let's talk about Vic Harris. Now I don't have any playing days cards of Vic Harris. This is his 2015 Helmar Art Stamp card, and you can see. See if I can get this a little bit better. How's that? Okay. Hopefully you can see that. It's not a real bright picture, but he was the manager of the Homestead Grays during some of their best years. He was a player also, so it's not clear whether he's really being nominated for his managerial record or for his playing record. But in any case, he's seventh in my order. The next player is number six is Luis Tiant. This is his rookie card for the Cleveland Indians and in a SGC 6.5. Luis Tiant may be best known for his years with the Boston Red Sox. He actually won two games in the 1975 World Series and possibly could have pitched in another, but they had some rain delays and he didn't get to do that. And of course, they won the sixth game with the dramatic Carlton Fisk home run, and then lost Game Seven in a pretty thrilling. Uh, Pretty thrilling World Series in 1975. I, I remember the great sign in Fenway Park when they uh, came back and said, the Red Sox won the first two games. I'm not sure that's right, actually. Um, so the next player that is nominated has been nominated is Cardinal third baseman Ken Boyer. A lot of people believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. He has a pretty good WAR. It's well up in the 40s. Um, he won the 1964 MVP. Pretty solid player. Uh, he is known as a defensive player, although, as Chris from Missouri noted, his defensive WAR wouldn't really back that up. Um, but he hit a dramatic home run, grand slam home run, and I'm thinking it was maybe Game Four, uh, in which the Cardinals prevailed by a score of 4-3. So really all the runs came on that one home run, and then the Cardinals went on to win that World Series in 7 games. The next player is Tommy John. And the only thing I'm going to say about Tommy John, beyond this is his rookie card and SGC 6.5, is he has 288 wins, and he is the winningest pitcher in Major League Baseball hero not in the Hall of Fame. So, he doesn't have, uh, he does have a pretty good WAR. He did uh, win an awful lot of games, some for some very bad teams, some for some pretty good teams. So, he's probably most famous for the fact that he was the first candidate, was the first patient to receive Tommy John surgery from Dr. Frank Jobe. And he paved the way for a lot of other pitchers to have very successful careers after having undergone Tommy John surgery. So that's certainly worth something. But I think 288 wins gets you in. He had more wins than Jim Cott, more wins than Ferguson Jenkins, more wins than Jim Bunning, uh, more wins than Robin Roberts, more wins than a lot of players. I did pitch for a pretty long time. And he actually had 100, I think 169 of his wins came after he recovered from Tommy John surgery. So I like Tommy John. He is a somebody who I think is deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. But if I had three votes, I'd be voting for these three guys, and they are John Donaldson. This is his. Uh, what's the name of this? Negro. It's a 2020 Dreams Fulfilled set, and this is card number 72. Uh, again, there are uh, no playing days cards of John Donaldson. He played before the Negro Leagues were in existence, and he played after they were brought into existence in what is it, 1921, 1920, somewhere along in there. He is considered to be the greatest left-handed pitcher in the history of Negro League or black baseball, uh, whether it's in the official Negro leagues or just in other leagues that permitted Negroes to play, black players to play. Um, I think that he is well worthy of being in the Hall of Fame, and he would get my vote if I had a vote. The next player, number two on my list, is Dave Parker. I thought Dave Parker was one of the best players of the 1970s for sure, and he had some problems with some uh, illegal substances, drugs, and he did play pretty well for the Cincinnati Reds after he went over to them. And he also won another championship in 1989, I believe, with the Oakland A's. So he had some absolutely fantastic years. For 10 years, he was as good a player as there was in baseball. And I think, a lot of people have addictions, some to alcohol, some to drugs. And the important part about him is that he got himself straightened out, turned around, continued to make a contribution for the remainder of his playing days. He has Parkinson's disease now, and he's really pretty enfeebled by it. I hope he gets in, and I hope he gets in before he succumbs to that disease. And I'm rooting for him. He'd get my vote if I had a vote. And the number one player who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as as well is Dick Allen. I remember when Dick Allen came up with the Phillies. I liked him a lot right away. I was 11 years old in 1964, and I remember him receiving the most awful, uh, overt racism from the fans. You can see he's wearing a batting helmet. Of course, he's in a batting pose. But Dick Allen wore a batting helmet on the field because the fans would throw things at him, uh, such as batteries and other hard objects. And he felt like he had to do that in order to protect himself. They booed him mercilessly, certainly, but he hit some of the most mammoth home runs in Connie Mack Stadium back before they moved to the vet. He went over to, first, I'm not sure the order, but St. Louis and Los Angeles, and then ultimately to the Chicago White Sox, where he won a couple home run titles. He won the 1972 MVP in the American League. He was just a fearsome hitter and one that no pitcher in his right mind really wanted to face. He swung a very heavy bat, I'm told it was 42 ounces. Well, I've swung a 35-ounce bat, and I could, barely get it around. And I was in much better shape when I did that. So, uh, in this day and age, you very seldom do you ever find anybody who has a bat that size. Um, he got booed so much that standing down in first base, he took his cleats and in the dirt he wrote the word "boo," which got him in trouble with Bowie Kuhn. Uh, you know, I never felt like he did anything wrong in that regard. I think he was abused by fans, by perhaps some other players. Perhaps, I don't know all of the details, but I know he took a tremendous amount of abuse and he shouldered it, and still went out and did his job. Uh, I know at the end of his career, he kind of walked out in the middle of a game. Um, I think it was because he just felt like he didn't have anything more to contribute. Maybe he could have done it a little more gracefully. I don't know. Anyway, he gets my vote. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. He's passed away, so he's not going to get to enjoy it, but maybe his family and his fans will get to enjoy it. So that's Dick Allen, and those are my picks. Um, you know, any one of them, and many people who were not even on the ballot, I think, could justly claim uh, the right to be in the Hall of Fame. Bear in mind that it represents those elected to the Hall of Fame by one means or another represent, I think, less than 2% of all of the players who have ever played. Uh, but I think these three players uh, have been overlooked, and a couple of the other ones, Tommy John, Ken Boyer, certainly, I think Louis Tiant, maybe, uh, Vic Harris, maybe, uh, you know, uh, maybe Steve Garvey. I don't see Steve Garvey getting in as on the basis of his numbers or on the basis of his contributions. He was, uh, people remember the big fight that he had with Don Sutton. Uh, I'm not sure that he was extremely well liked. Whatever else you might think about him, to me, Mickey Mantle summed it up when he said the greatest uh, thing anybody ever said about him was when Bobby Richardson said he was a great teammate. That was important to Mickey, and Mickey, in my mind, is the best of the best from my life in my lifetime, I would say. So other people may argue, but that's their opinion, and they're entitled to it. And I certainly admire everybody who has courage enough to come out and say, "Hey, this is what I think." You may not agree with my picks. That's all right with me too. So that's why they have 12 people on the committee because they can't trust one of them. I mean, any one of them. So that's it. That's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. And this is Rocket Rick J18 wishing that all your collecting dreams come true.